Welcome, everyone. We are so excited to have these groups back with us today, two student groups and their teacher and I'm going to let you all get the name of the school all right and all of that, but Instituto Roberto Roca is how I always think of it. I'm sure that it's not quite that in English. We've actually done a session with these students before, but we did it in Spanish and realized afterwards that we had limited who in the United States might be able to access these incredible projects that their teacher, Danielle Bonifaz, has been working on with them this year. So I want to go ahead, Danielle, let's start with you. Let's have you introduce yourself, and then let's get the students to introduce yourselves, and we will dive right into hearing about these incredible projects they've been doing in Monterrey, Mexico. Danielle?
Thank you, Jennifer. And thank you to everyone for being here. My name is Daniel Bonifaz. I'm professor in the Escuela Técnica Roberto Roca. It's a high school where we teach technical careers with my students, and I teach science subjects where we work with PBL. And these two projects actually were born in a PBL subjects, and then my students could evolve the projects to get more impact with their communities. So I'm really glad to show them all the work that they have had this year. It has been very enthusiastic for them to work with their communities, and we are happy that you can see them in action. So we are going to start with high tech and then with inside leaders. That's the other project.
Before we get started with the high tech team, I do want to give a small disclaimer. We had a little discussion about whether I should even say this at the beginning beforehand. But keep in mind that this is the first time that these students have presented in their second language. So we want to you've got an audience of educators, of course, right? So you all know, our learners know, you're going to have a wonderfully supportive group of people excited to hear from you. We really felt that these projects were absolutely stellar and really wanted to be able to repeat the event in English for everyone. So we're grateful to all of you for making the effort to do this in your second language. Having given that caveat, I suspect that we will now not even notice that it's their second language, because they are extraordinary young people at a bilingual school. So high-tech team, let's go ahead and pass it over to you. Make sure you introduce yourselves first, and let's hear from you about your project, and then we'll move on to the Insight Leaders team.
Hi, everyone, and thank you. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to share our process. We are a high-tech team. I'm Victor Montero.
I'm Pablo Luna.
And I'm Erika Garcia.
We're going to start with our presentation.
Wait a second. A second.
Sure.
Can you look at it? Can
you please confirm that you can watch the presentation?
We can see it. Yep, we've got it.
Thank you. Now, well, we are high-tech biomimetic technology based on mobile aerospace for the redesign of a wind generator in areas of limited access. Now, we are a group of 3 students that are being structuring this project for a whole year. As I mentioned, I'm Victor Montero, and I serve as a leader and the founder of the project.
I'm the task organizer and coordinator of the activity.
My main role was the designer and the performance analyst. But first, where do we come from? Well, we're 2 generations, 2 mechatronics and electromechanics from Escuela Técnica Roberto Roca, that we get together to create an amazing project, high-tech. But with what high-tech? High-tech has 7 stages, but all start with the PBL.
Now, to begin, we have our first stage, that is the PBL. This was a little project that we did in our first semester of the career, talking about me and Erica. Erica is my classmate, so we had this project that unified three subjects that was maths, chemistry, and English. And in that project, we need to find a way to use these new energies or clean energies to improve the to improve the yes, like
The use.
the use of these sustainable energies. Now, the question that we have to answer, if you want to say that, is how could we apply the use of sustainable energies different to the conventional ones to guarantee these sources in places where this service is not efficient. And after this, we have this little curious thing that we couldn't or can test this project or the project in the time of the semester. So we have the idea to continue it in our next semester or in our free time, because we are very like fan to this kind of methodology that is very flexibility. The idea was called EMBO. EMBO was the project that we did in our semester. This was this proposed that use the flow of the current of the Pesqueria River to use it in a hydraulic energy or to convert in electric energy. Now, but EMBO, or what was the plan for EMBO? We changed the main idea. Now EMBO, we'll focus on investigate the area or looking for something clean energy that can use in this community or in the community that wanted or needed. And it was the plan to do it for investigation and then propose one of these clean energies to use it in that community.
After EMBO, we had our first idea that was use hydraulic energy. We consider another idea, but this was the first. Then we had some ideas different because an advantage that the PBL process benefits is like the innovation and the creativity we can have while doing these projects. And also the flexibility, as my partner said. We can go back to the step we want, and we can redo the process again. So continue with our project. We discovered, because of our teacher, the biomimicry, and this was a big change in our project because now we wanted to research and found how to use biomimicry in our project. And why it's biomimicry? We found that it develops solutions from nature in daily life problems in the formal biological principles. And it's like basically how you can solve a problem using the nature.
Knowing that, we need to look first around who did it well and good, who did it good or not. For that reason, we investigated a lot, and we found a group of students who to do a grade well fee, they take the fee, and do advance. We say that the people are great, awesome, and intelligent. And for that reason, we changed our project from the hydraulic to the wind, but not just the transformation, not just the below, the change, the main idea of the project from the hydraulic and the wind. We also need to check the animals. For example, the stingrays, the fin, or the tails from the well. And also, we take the formation of the birds for our project. But not just that, not just the animal well to the one. We need to take which part of the animal to take in the biomimetics and your project.
And then we get into the brainstorming. In this, we have our animal that is the Mobula viroceras or stingray. And then we started to research how to justify our idea. So we have the sustainable development goals.
Now we have our sustainable development goals or SDGs because our school focus on that our projects have or need to achieve one of the objectives of development, sustainable development goals, sorry. This gave us a more structured, defined, and clear objective that our project needs to go. And so this gave us a little bit an idea to what to do. And this is very common in our projects in the school that are answering one of the SDGs. Now, in the part of the brainstorming, now we have the scamper method that we use it to break our minds and try to do something new and innovate, talking about our prototype or the generator. In this, all the team met in a day and in one meeting, talking about 30, 50 minutes, we started talking and what are we going to do or what we need to change to our prototype to did or do this objective. In this, in 10 minutes, we have the objective to start to draw how we imagine this change or this innovation in our generator. This also gave us more ideas and how I say, break our minds because the ideas that we have in the past are very common and conventional. But now, because we are 3 people, we have more ideas. And if Pablo have some idea or the generator need to be a circle, but I think that it could be a square. So it's gave us a little bit another point of view of the objective.
After that, we have the idea. As you mentioned, we had 3 different ideas, but we need to do something more professional, something more credible for our project, because you not just have the idea, draw or something like that, we need to take the next step. For that reason, we finally arrived to the prototype. In the prototype, we design the prototype, the device, but we need also do a large simple space because what current is that we experiment one time and get functional. Also, it can be in the second one, can be functional or not. For that reason, we experiment a lot of time. For example, the 1 time, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times to say the prototype will be functional in a real life and not just in a ambience, in a comfort ambience. And this we can say the design, after that the creation, and finally the experiment. And you can look when we experiment.
Now we have our final stage or the present of our project. We are continuing develop this project, sorry. We are thinking about the future, about creating a big prototype and try to do or create this energy to improve this kind, or that the people know that are interesting, or you can change them. These also are for the community that think about how can they change something that is now like very uh, is very like, well, this is for that they can create something or think that they can change or innovate in something. Now, some of our achievements that we grade an accreditation for the national contest, and the national contest. And in this, we have a very good experience that we could explain our project to different people of the country, and they gave their comments, and like their comments that are like, oh, that's very good and interesting, and they gave us like the motivation to continue it. Now we're going to start talking about our acquired knowledge. Now talking about technicals we have that we learn to modulate in Blender software that is very common in our careers, and talking a little bit more about the teamwork I learned personally to manage of the time, and how to keep or continue with the task that are the task complete or completed. So I think that I continue learning every day. Paula?
For me, I learned how to um register the data because of the experiment and analyze it and get the results.
Well, for me, from probably, well, because I am, well, personally, the main topic, the main idea that I got from the knowledge of this project that we need to develop a lot of tools and abilities, because it's the school gives us a question for in the PBL, and we need to develop our abilities to compete that question, to explore our ability to get a new tool. For example, thanks by this project, I learned a lot of design, and thanks of design, I can be certificate in SolidWorks, and SolidWorks is an software of industrial design that helps us a lot to this project, and also in the general industry of the design and the engineers. For that reason, the main knowledge I get, I repeat, is how we can develop and how we need to involve to our projects or complete a project. And that's all. Thanks.
Now, if you want to know more about our project, or if you have a question that you don't want to share with us right now, you can contact us for the email that is in the slide. And that's all for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, the questions.
Yes, that was incredible. First of all, I just want to everybody, if even if you're still muted, like that was great. And knowing too that that was the very first time you've tried to do that in English, really very, very impressive. Everyone is really thrilled. I'm seeing all sorts of wonderful compliments, first of all, in the chat. So I hope you'll have a chance after the session to take a look at all those wonderful compliments, including a couple people who wouldn't mind hiring you right away. And what looks an awful lot like a potential invitation to Hawaii to teach people to pay more attention to how they could design from nature, with no promises made, of course, but really, really enthusiastic. responses. This is great.
Before any hire, you need to speak with the manager. So me,
There you go. There you go. Perfect. So we don't have a whole lot of questions in the chat yet, but Josh, it looked like you were trying to figure out how to articulate a question that was coming to mind for you. And then of course others in the group, in the audience, we'll take a few minutes for questions for this group. We'll make sure that we see the whole presentation of the second group, ask them questions as well. Josh, you want to give that a try?
Oof, boy, you may have to help me, Jennifer. I'm not sure
Sure.
quite how to ask the question, but as I wrote in the chat, I'm just super interested about its acquired knowledge and acquired skills. And I wonder about the skill of dealing with complexity now for the rest of your lives, because you have been through something where you started with a very simple thing. And then, as Daniel said in the chat, it became very complex and very interconnected physics, everything. And I don't quite know how to ask it. I just wonder if they feel more confident now with dealing with complexity, if that's the simple way to ask the question.
Okay. So the question is, how do we are fighting with the complexity, or how we use complexity to the project?
Well, or even how much more comfortable you've become because of the project, with facing things that are that complex. Does that make sense?
Yes, we are thinking about the answer.
I can tell you're thinking deeply.
I'm glad you're thinking. Yeah.
Like, does it apply to other parts of your lives? Do you imagine in the future that you will be able to handle complex problems better, differently because of these experiences?
Well, as I mentioned a few moments ago, in the complex, the part of the design, is a very complex, very difficult to us at the beginning. But after we explore, share, we look around for people who know about that, we can get that complex more or less. And also that give us, well, it gave me for me a certification. We can say that is less conversion because also in that software you learn a lot about the drawings. The answer
the SolidWorks class.
Yeah.
Well, if the question goes to how the project or how this knowledge affect to another kind of type in life, I think that the biomimicry at the beginning was very, very confused and very hard to explain or to investigate. So I think that this kind of new topics or not so investigate topics gave us the opportunity to learn how to like research information or talking about how we work with this. I think that if the answer makes sense, I think it's all, or you can answer or question ask me other questions. Sorry.
I think you've just given it to me. And I personally think that one of the highest compliments that I can pay anyone is that they have the ability to explain a complex idea. And what you did over 10 minutes was explain to me very clearly a very complex idea. And then throughout your life, you'll be able to do that over and over and over again, which is fantastic. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah,
It
to me,
makes
all of
really
those
sense, and thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm curious to know too, if it ever got frustrating, if you ever, you mentioned going through so many prototypes. Pardon me. You went going through so many prototypes, and I know a lot of teachers who use project-based learning only end up being able to do 2 or 3. Were there any moments of frustration, and how did you handle those moments of frustration?
Yes.
Yeah, we have a lot. We have a lot of frustration. For example, one of the main frustration is when the experiment and which material to take to the experimentation. We need to decide because not is the same elaborate a prototype of aluminum or something like paper. It has many different many things different. For the reason we had frustration about what we can do, how we can do the prototype also. And how we solved, well, we just sit down, talk about it, discuss, and explore the solutions.
That's great.
It's very great, that answer.
Yeah.
I really agree. I agree.
To answer your question.
Yeah. Yes, it did. It definitely did. Do we have other questions from the group? From our participants for these learners? If we don't have any others right now, then I think we will move on to the second group. Before we do, though, will you let these folks know what your ages are, just so that they know how incredibly impressive this is?
I'm 60 years old.
I'm 17.
And you're 80.
I'm 18.
There you go. Just reminding everyone, right, that we're talking to young people who are still in high school, still very much learners. Daniel, is there anything that you want to add? Thank you all for that. Daniel, is there anything you want to add at the end about this particular project before we move to the second team?
No, I'm really glad that you could see all the work that they have made this year long, a year and a few months actually. And everything I wrote in the chat was, I'm really amazed how this project could connect many subjects, math, statistics, physics, and also the soft skills like teamwork, organization. They learn more and live the scientific method. So I'm really glad that you could see all the work that they have made.
It's really a very impressive project. And I honestly, I think, these kinds of projects I would love to see go into action, right? To actually, develop, as you said, next year, a bigger scale, a bigger model, be able to create something that could even be sold and used, produced by a company and used. So these are those little grains of sand, right? That contribute to the well-being in the world.
Something that I could add is that all my students here are on careers more for an engineering school. So we in the school we have workshops where they can work if they want to, and they can learn more about it.
That's great. Wonderful. Thank you so much to the high tech team and to Danielle for those explanations. Let's go ahead and move over to the Insight Leaders team and hear a little bit about the work that you've been doing. And everyone here, please keep thinking about questions for the learners. We can circle back to high tech after Insight. We'll see how the time works out. But please keep chatting and sharing ideas and sharing questions as we go. And don't forget to unmute there on Insight Leaders. It's all yours. There we go.
That's it. Hola. Hi. We're gonna present, so just give us a minute. We're presenting our presentation. Yeah. Yeah. Really? Yeah. We're
Perfect.
sharing. Oh, yeah. Here.
Yes, there you go.
There is it.
Yes, we can see it.
Mm-hmm. So
Perfect.
Hold on.
Oop.
Okay, that's it. Okay. You open your.
We can't hear you anymore.
Okay, hi.
Oh,
Can you
okay.
hear
All
me?
right, good. Yes, now we can. And can you angle that computer so we see both of you? Because one of you is getting cut off a little bit. The one that you're using for video. Perfect. That's a little better.
In my side, I have the the image, and on the other side, it's the audio.
Okay, perfect. That's
And
no
also
problem.
the presentation. Yeah.
Yeah, so, well,
Introduce
Yeah.
yourselves.
Um, First, hi, and thank you, Mel and Jennifer, for inviting us for a second time to this webinar. We're very, very thankful. And today we're talking about our project that is inside leaders protocol lapis. This project is made by us, by two students from the Escuela Técnica Roberto Roca, where we're trying to find a way to solve the education, the deficient education that some schools in our country has. And the description says it's inside Leaders Protocol Lapis, cognitive development sessions using day-to-day problems with the support of active learning methodologies.
Can you introduce yourselves too before you dig too far in?
How? I'm sorry.
Can you introduce yourselves? Tell us your names and maybe tell
Well,
us what year you are. Yeah, that would be great.
in this slide, we're talking about us. Hi, I'm Ulises Didier, Islas de León.
I'm Ángel Martínez Aguirre.
And we're both from the Escuela Técnica Roberto Roca. And today we're presenting this project. The next one.
So, as we said, we are from the Escuela Técnica Roberto Roca, a school that works with different learning methodologies. That was one of the key, is the central piece of our project, right? So, the school is located in Mexico, in the state of Nuevo León, and well, we're gonna start, right? So, we're gonna talk about our process from start to now. We have three stages for the process, so we're gonna talk about it. The first one, the starting with a deficient educative model. This one was before we entered in the Roberto Roca, was during the elementary school, during middle school. Then we have the second stage, that is Lehman study here in the Escuela Técnica, and our experience here. And then we have the third stage, that is the learning about the active learning methodology.
Okay. As my classmate said, there are three steps, very, 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 very important steps that guide us to make this project. And the first one, we have like the main question that it's how was our basic education before? Talking about basic education, it's about the elementary and the middle school, and how it impacts us and on the last years. And the first step, study with a deficient educative model. And well, talking about this, the primary and secondary school, as everyone studied these grades and the school, maybe you will find that are some points that are very interesting in education, like, for example, in some schools from our country, the public education, the system of education, it's based on a one-way learning. What I'm trying to say with this one, that the teacher arrives to the classroom and the teacher explains the topic, and the students only take the notes, only like trying to memorize, but there's nothing else after that. The students don't the students don't make it in practice, don't practice the topic, the students don't talk about it with the teacher, with the classmates, and that's why the education is based on a one-way learning. Another important point is the no interaction with the teacher. The questions remain unsolved. As the first one, when the student learns the topic, there are some questions that are in the air. Uh, they don't know. For example, you're talking about maths, and you don't really know how to multiply. And that question remains, and that he didn't ask to the teacher. The next one.
So how did we realize that was an issue, right? So this obviously fits to us in here in the new experience of education, that is our school. So live and study with an educated experience in our school and open our minds, like really open it. In the way that we learn about the active learning methodologies. In the school, we use these five that you can see here, but actually we use a lot of them. The most important in our school is the project-based learning. That is the project that, as the other team says, was the one to lead for the project. It also leads to us. So it's like a very important educative method to us and in the school. We also use another ones like the problem-based learning, the challenge-based, the design thinking, and the storytelling. So are these active learning methodologies that we use in the school? Well, were the one that were the ones that we started to use in our project and they impact us, right? So you may want to know what is the PBL methodology. If you are not familiar with it, the PBL methodology is a methodology in which the students are given with a situation, and the situation has some problems in there. Then the students have to, first of all, realize what the problems are, realize who are the people affected, and how they can help it.
Yeah. Now talking about if is it really effective? Yes, it is. Why? Because in our school we studied with the PBL methodology, and learning about it, we also make it in practice with our project that it's inside leaders, and we bring this project to the schools and apply it, and we saw that it's really effective because the students act in the same way that us that we learn it with the PBL methodology. So it is really effective.
And then the school, in the school we use the SDGs as I I want to like I know that you may know it. So the SDGs are these set goals that the you know,
Are
you
yeah,
can explain
well,
it, please.
yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. In our education during these 3 years in the Escuela Técnica Roberto Roca, we learn also about the Sustainable Development Goals that are from the ONU. And this is like a very, very important fact that our school use in our education because we need to follow like a track of our projects using the SDGs. In our project, we use the number 4, that is quality education. And in some slides, we're gonna explain it better. But yes, the use of SDG helps to the students to make a better connection with our communities. And that's it. The next one.
And well,
Yeah.
well, and what experiences are in the school that we are saying like, oh, there are many experiences in school that open our minds, but what are these experiences? Well, in some of them are, for example, the expositions of projects that, as you can see, the bigger image. That's one of the science fair that were held it here in the school. So that's one of our bigger experiences here. But also some volunteers, some cultural fairs, some certifications in the school, and even some travels in competitions. For example, and the one with the Mexican flag is the robotic team of the school in Austin?
Houston, yeah.
In Houston, in Texas. So are these experiences really open, like our minds are really open, like a path for us to work in different projects and different ways to learning, right? So this leads to
Now the next step, that is the use of the active learning methodologies. What's our work methodology with our project? Well, first of all, we want to talk about our learning tools. And with our learning tools, we have our chronogram. This chronogram that we develop as a team along our teacher, it's based in a 2 day 2 day classes. It looks like a very intensive way to learn, but it's really an strategy way to work with our students, because the activities that we have at the beginning, it's the team explanation. We have like a brief time to know more about us. We as teachers with the students and they with us, and to know how are their skills and how we're gonna work with them. Also, we have the proposal of a problematic. With this one, we as the teachers go with the students, and we give them a problematic. For example, our last classes we use problematics um, about the nature, how to make a garden in your house. Also about economy, how to. It's about. It was about like a girl that has her own shop, and how can she improve it. And also, we work with the empathy map. We're gonna talk about it in some slides, and also we make the prototype storytelling. That it's a very useful tool that we have with our project.
And as my partner was saying, we have the learning tools that we use is the empathy map. This empathy map, as you can see, is the one that says like, what a person can say, think, do, or feel during certain situations. For example, in the classes, the students use it to uh, relate to the situation. For example, we say like, a girl have a shop. What does the girl feel about it? How does the girl think about it? What does she do? What does she do? What does she do? And all these um, all these tools help us to the students to first of all relate to the problem, and second of all to start to think about how is the life or the situation really. Also, we normally use situations that are related to the context. For example, their place of living or their themes that we're using in classes. Yeah. So it's a way to introduce them more in the methodology. And also use the brainstorming. That is something that is it saves lives really, because the brainstorming help us to the students normally we normally don't know what the student's gonna do, and we don't have a plan about what the student's gonna present. Normally they surprise us about different proposals, different prototypes that they do, and it's all the ideas that the students can have that it's very interesting about it.
I want to add something.
Yeah.
Yes, because about the brainstorming, it's really interesting, because we as teachers usually go to the classrooms like with two ways to solve the problematic. But uh, as Angel said, the students surprise us with many ways to solve a problematic. And that's like one of the best things to that we live with this project because we learn a lot about the students and also they learn a lot about us, and that's like one of the facts that make us love this project.
Really.
Yeah.
Um, and well, why are again the SDGs here? Because as we say, we follow an SDG to make this project, and we also make the students follow some SDGs to understand better the complexity of their projects and well, the proposals and the prototypes that they do, and how can they impact the real world. So we normally explain like what an SDG is and how why they are there, you know. So it's one of the ways to tell the students that their projects and their prototypes that they can do in one class can be a really, really long-term project and impact the real world. And well, now we're gonna talk about soft skills and hard skills, things that I think you already know. So, well, if you don't know, I will explain it. What is a soft skill? A soft skill is normally a skill that you have that you normally know that you are developing. For example, a teamwork, the teamwork, the activity, the active listening, or the leadership are some soft skills that you can develop. And depending of your situation or your education, you can develop more or less. But we in the project want to make the students to focus in two of them that are the teamwork and the critical learning. So the sessions are focused on that. And it's a way that the students doesn't necessarily need to know that they are learning or they are like developing these soft skills, but they are doing it. So it's very interesting. No?
And also talking about this, why the reason that why we write about the soft and hard skills, it's one important fact that we were talking at the beginning about the things that we noticed during the elementary school and in the middle school, because we we noticed that students don't develop the soft skills as you're watching it here, and that was like a reason to work more with the soft skills with the students that don't develop during the school.
And well, we have the hard skills that is the skills that you develop knowing that you are developing. For example, the writing, the drawing, or the singing as some example of hard skills. Um, we normally we in the project we also use the hard skills. For example, when the students want to write or draw their prototypes or when they want to explain it, we we also develop the hard skills, but it's like a side note of it. But it's also something that we impact and we want to remark here. And well, we have the learning process. As you can see, there are 6 points that we use in our sessions. That is the problematic, the trigger question, the brainstorming, the hypothesis, the prototyping, and the conclusion. These 6 points, it's like it's a path, you know, it's the hero path of the students because they are like, oh, a problematic and a trigger question, and then brainstorming, and they have to do a lot of ideas, and then oh, we have to narrow it to one. Then you can do a lot of prototypes, and then you have to narrow it to one again. So it's a learning process that we use, and we also the this learning process also impact us in during the school. So we want to impact the other students with it.
Yeah. I sorry. Yes. As my partner said, during our student in the Escuela Técnica Roberto Roca, we learn about this process, and we try to use the same process with our students, and also like solving a question that I saw, the trigger question. It's also named as a driving question, the question that our students follow to have like more clear, problematic, and make a better solution for our user.
Here are some pictures of our students. They are blur the face because well, they're minors, but as you can see, the students they really like to work in the sessions. Are they they also surprise us because they make their own posters.
Yeah, their
Yes, they
posters.
posters
Yeah.
with the projects and the prototypes and all all the things that we say here, they normally put it in there, and it's like very satisfying as a teacher, like being able to see how your student how your students work uh, work the themes that you give them, and how the students really like the themes and really like the sessions. It's something that we really love here. So there are some pictures. And now we're gonna talk about some challenge that we face during the project.
Yeah, our challenges that we have were the time management. Why? Because with our chronogram we have like a perfect ideal way to manage our time during the classes. But we know that maybe when we are already in the classroom, there are gonna be some situations that are out of our hands, and we have to change some things to make a good class. Also, buy material for the sessions. This is not like a very big challenge, but the most important challenge is the quantitative measures for the results, because we need to transform the qualitative, that are the soft skills, to a quantitative uh, measures. That's like a big challenge for us.
Well, here are the next steps. And also I want to I saw a question that what is the APIS in the name? ILAPIS comes, well, the IL it's for Insight Leaders, but also it's because ILAPIS it's Latin for it's the B. So ILAPIS is a project that we we as students and teachers of it see as the students working as the bees, like all together in the sessions. And well, the ELA piece is for that. And as you can see here, we use also the app piece of the because it means B to get to name the projects that are the shield strategy and the bamboo strategy that are some types of B. The shield one, it's working with teachers. We want to teach teach the teachers about the learning methodologies because our project impact in public education. So normally it's a government factor that the teachers have to learn it in. So we want to give them some sessions about how to work in a classroom, how to use these learning methodologies the school, and how you can implement it in different classes and different topics. Also, the bamboo strategy is the strategy that we already work, but with a plus that is apply all this strategy to topics in the class. For example, history class or geography class or maths class. So it's like this step that we're gonna take.
Yeah, and about our reconnection in awards, the last year we went to the Femesien Exposencias competition, where we present our project, Inside Leaders Protocol Lapis, and also we presented to the teachers, the public teachers, the PDHS, and with that we won the first place in humanities and social sciences. And the next, yeah.
And well, I think that's all.
Yeah.
So if you want to know more about us, you can ask us right here. But if you want to maybe want some of our the way that we work or something like that, you can email us to the direction that is right there. And if you want to see more about day to day the project, you can follow us on Instagram. So if you want, if you have some questions, you can ask.
Well, first of all, let's do a round of, even if it's quiet applause. That was awesome, you guys. I having seen this before, I knew kind of what was coming, and it still just amazes me. And of course, this group of educators are like, wait, students know, learners are telling us how to teach. This is awesome. This is exactly what we need to be seeing. You got a lot of different questions, so I'm hoping we only have 2 minutes left in the hour, so I'm hoping folks will stick around for a few extra minutes so that we can ask some questions of these learners. First one that I wanted to make sure that I surfaced was one from Janelle earlier on about how you discovered all of these practices, all of this pedagogical knowledge. Where did this come from for you? How were you able to know this about?
Yes, as we said at the beginning, this comes from our school in the Escuela Técnica Roberto Roca, and that was like the first step for us to make the project. That's the main reason for why this project exists. Yeah.
Very nice. And there was another question too from Janelle about what kind of work that you did around AI with it. Did you use artificial intelligence in any way within this, or did it not fit necessarily into this project?
Well, the use of AI was not, well, we didn't use it during the project, um, but we don't know if in the future we may use it, because the AI right now it's like it's always evolving. So we don't know. Maybe in a few months there's already an AI that knows how to control a classroom or how to do some sessions. So maybe we can use it and use it like a tool. So it's something that is in the say,
Yeah, maybe for the future.
the possibilities, it's in the possibilities of it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's go ahead and take your slides down if you wouldn't mind stopping the share on the slides. And we'll take a couple more questions from folks. Danielle, you were giving some explanation about next steps in the project. I wonder if you might be able to jump in and explain a little bit about that, what's coming next for this?
Thank you, Jennifer. No, I'm really glad that you could hear this project because it's the change between the other project, all engineering, biomimicry, and now the social project. So in this school, we try that they have a whole work in the social part, in the engineering part, in the sustainable part too. And we're really, really, really glad that you could listen to these students. And I want to tell that this is the almost last day of high school from these two students. So they graduate tomorrow and they, yes, and this is a nice closure for them. And I'm really glad that they could be doing this in their final days in the high school. It will be a really glad memory for them.
This is beautiful. That's great to know. I love it. I love it. I think my Zoom will give you the big hearts because I can't get it to turn off. So there you go, the big hearts. You've got a couple, this team also got a little bit of a request. Again, I can't make any promises, but there's a lot of interest in seeing whether you might help us in some of our districts in Hawaii and Minnesota. There's a real interest in what might happen when teachers learn from students and whether that might be that thing that helps us get over some of the frustration of not being able to move education forward in some contexts. Stephen, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, I was just very curious because when you listed the challenges, you talked about a lot of technical challenges of time and money and things. I am actually very curious about how the people reacted, not only the teachers in those classrooms where you were doing this, but also the students, because while it sounds like everyone enjoyed this in the long term, I'm wondering if early on people were not used to this approach because they were very used to the one-way teaching kind of approach that they've had all of their lives. So how did you see that happen in these schools?
Well, the
Yes, there is.
yeah, we don't have image here.
Uh,
Well, the first the first impression of many of the students were surprised. I think so because, as you say, they are so they are they all their life they use this traditional way of learning. So a class in which where they can like be part of it and like participate more, like be part of the projects of the solutions, pass to the front and expose the projects and their ideas. It's something that they don't do like very often. So it was a surprise in the moment. And for the teachers or, for example, the headmasters of some of the schools, they were like they were amazed by it because they want to know more about it. They see like the students really like it, and they tell us in the moment like, you have to come here again. You have to teach us about it. That was one of the reasons why we want to make a next step in the strategy to teach teachers. I don't know how.
Yeah,
yeah.
teachers,
Also
yeah.
about it, during our classes, we had a student that at the beginning of the session says, hey, I don't really like to work in team. My team is the worst in the world. Please change my team. And we were like, maybe, but you don't know. You need to work with our classmates and to know more about their skills, and maybe all of you can make a perfect work at the end. And yes, that was right because in the second session at the end, that student come with me and she said, uh, teacher, I really, really love to work in teams. My team is the best, and I love my classmates. And we were like, oh my God, we make a change with our students. And yes, that was like a good signal for us that it's really working as we want. And also, talking about the perspectives from the teacher. Um, in our country, here in Mexico, we have like a new methodology that it's still trying to work in the public education. That it's the new Mexican education. In here, it's called Nueva Escuela Mexicana, and that methodology tries to work with the active-based learning methodologies. And the teacher from the school that we went, she said like it was an effective tool that she would use or know more about the new method that the country is trying to enter to the schools. But yes, like these are the facts that we're seeing that it's working.
This is great. This is great. We have two more questions and we're over time already, but I'm going to go ahead and ask the two of you to try to answer these. The first is a question from Marlene about the role of feedback in the project.
Feedback?
Hey, man. Um, Talking about feedback, it's like
Do you mean feedback like teachers to us or students to us
or us
to us?
yeah.
Marlene, do you want to open your mic and ask the question more directly?
Yes. Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good,
I
good,
I
good.
was I was last week there in Monterrey in your school. Maybe you saw me around. But I really wonder, what do you think about feedback? Like the feedback that you have received throughout these years through project-based learning, and also how do you think this helps you or helps the others learn? Or I don't know, like is feedback powerful for you? Is it boring? Is it something that you find as a tool that you want to use? I don't want to induce your response. So just reflecting about feedback in the process, what do you think is the power of it or not?
For us, the feedback, it's a tool, it's a powerful tool, because with the feedback from any person, it's something that gives you a new perspective. Normally, the feedback, for example, it's not the same the feedback of a teacher, that the feedback from another student, from the feedback to, for example, in the first sense, we have some PhDs that give us feedback about their project. And all this lead to uh, development and improvement in it. So we we think that feedback is a tool and it's a powerful one, and we really like to have feedback, even if it's not positive. It's something that we like, because in that way, if you, if there is something that we are not doing right, we want to know. We don't want to feel like they are telling that it's all good when it's not. So it's something that we really like. The feedback, it's something that even if it's harmful, sometimes it's very, how can you say, useful.
Yes, it's useful for us to improve the project, because yes, there are many perspectives from our project. Many people can say anything about our project, and that can guide us to a better way to work, and yes, improves many things. For example, in one class we had a student that has different conditions and autism.
Autism.
Yeah, he had autism. And yeah,
We have a student it was actually like the last session, we in the spectrum. So we really, it's something that we say, like, adapt the session to it. So we say, like, we don't want him to be like a part of the group, but if he wants to be, then we have to find a way that he can be part of it, even if it has to be like a little far from the other students. So it's something that we really like. And actually, the teacher that from that classroom tell us that you did that great work with that student. We can't say the name, with that student, because it was like a change that he normally doesn't uh, involve in the class or involve in it, but you make him involved. So
yes.
so it was feedback that they gave us that was
Yeah.
a very good one, and it was like this. I don't know how to say, like, courage.
Yes, courage to still
So still work with
yeah,
it.
with this project, because we noticed that it's very, very interesting, and we can still learn a lot about our community. Yeah.
This is great. Well, I want to go ahead and pose, I think Yanni's last question is actually perfect to close with. And I'm going to ask high tech team to come back in as well. I'm going to have to ask all of you to make your answers nice and short. But starting with the insight leads, just so that we can wrap this up within, the day. Yeah, the insight leaders, let's start with the two of you. What was something that what surprised you the most during your research and your exploration in this project? And then I'm going to ask the same question of high tech if you all are still there.
Okay, the thing that surprises the most, I think it can be the way of work of a teacher. We as students normally don't see that. We normally don't see the plans of the teacher or how they plan their sessions, and it's something that really surprises because we have to do it. So
yeah, and also that the most surprising thing was that schools from our community are still working with bad traditional way to to teach, and that was the most surprising thing that we found on our community. Yeah.
Thank you so much to the two of you. And how about high tech team? What about you all? And Insight, don't forget to turn off your mic on there so we don't get any echo. High tech team, what surprised you the most during your research and exploration for this project?
One of the most surprising things for me was knowing that biomimetics exists and we can innovate or create what's in our head. Like even if it sounds like a crazy idea, we are doing it and we only have to prototype, do experiments, and work on the project.
Awesome.
I think that the most surprising thing is the really easy way that we have to innovate or to create something or add to something that is right now made, but you can add something or add your own mark. I think that is the most surprising thing.
Love
Me,
that.
the most surprising thing is how can we get aquatic animal to adapt to something else? For example, the stream weight, the molecular velocities, we adapt to something wind. They have the same thing, the fluids, the water and the air, but this is the most amazing, how we can adapt the natural, the animals, and also some animals that you can also, you never can think about that. How you can think about a string can be a aeolical generator. How you can think that the most amazing and something surprise to me.
That's great. Oh, thank you all so much. What an amazing session this has been. It really has been extraordinary. I think all of the educators in the room are feeling recharged. And Josh just put it beautifully. I feel like I pulled up to a charging station and now my battery is fully charged, especially at this time of year, right? We need that kind of inspiration. So thank you again to Danielle. Thank you to both of our teams, all of our students, for coming back a second time to do this in your second language. I know that took courage and time to prepare. We are all so grateful for your time and your insights, and this has just been wonderful. I'm quite sure that you'll be hearing from us again in one way or another. And congratulations to our almost graduates as well. Thank you to all the participants. Mel, do we have anything we need to make sure we announce before we close today?
Nope, that was the last one of the season, and what a way to what a way to end it, really. Yeah, just so grateful for this. Thank you all.
Thank you all to everyone involved and all of our participants, and have a wonderful graduation ceremony, summer break. For those of you who are going to get a little time off, I hope it's wonderful. And we will see you back next season, ready to go with some new projects and some new opportunities. Thank you all.
Thank you, Daniel. This is great.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, students.
I will leave my email in the chat box.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Danielle. Yes, please do.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
If anyone wants to reach me, my email is on the chat box. Goodbye.